Welcome to Walking Out Your Purpose with yours truly, Alicia Smith, where we focus on you reaching your full potential in all areas of your life through intentional dialogue and putting in the work. Let's get motivated to action so that we draw closer to realizing our life's purpose as women of God, wives, mothers, and businesswomen. Now come on in and eavesdrop on a conversation with me and sometimes a few others as we discuss having faith over fear from the pew to the boardroom and everywhere in between. I'm glad you're here. Let's get to walking out our purpose and accomplishing all that God has for us. Welcome to the Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with yours truly, Alicia Smith. And I am so glad you all are here. And for those that are new, I am so grateful to have you listening in. Today, we are going to talk to the most important woman in my life, my mother. I can't wait for you all to meet her and to learn more about the example that she's been in my life and the fact that she's pushed me to be who I am. So I can't wait for you guys to hear more from her. So, Mom, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Alicia. I am honored to be your guest tonight and to be your mom. How about that?
Awesome. So tell everyone a little bit about you, what you do for a living, and maybe 3 words that would describe what's most important to you in your life.
Well, my name is Beverly Cameron, and I am the mother of Alicia Smith, and very proud to be so. I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist. I'm also a certified diabetes educator and care specialist. That's a new title for me. Sorry, I'm still fumbling with it. And I have actually just celebrated 40 years on my job. So,
wow.
Needless to
Amazing.
say, I've been doing a lot. But I love what I do. If I had to pick 3 words that describe my values, probably would be God, family, and just giving back. Because that's what I hope to be doing every day when I go to work.
That's amazing. And congratulations on 40 years. That is longer than I've been alive. So that's beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly.
And not a lot of people can say that. So that's wonderful. So I always like to talk to people about their upbringing because I know for me, it was instrumental in me getting to this little place that I'm in because by no means have I, arrived anywhere. But I tend to reflect on, the way that you and Dad raised me. And I think it's been beneficial. So I always like to ask people about their upbringing. So maybe clue us in a little bit to how you were raised and maybe what values your parents instilled in you and how that shaped your life.
Well, I grew up in Southwest Detroit, and I am the middle child. I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters, and both my parents worked in the auto industry. I would say that my mom instilled in me to be independent, always keep some money aside, so always keep a $20 bill, because that's what she taught me. My father instilled in me to pay your bills on time, so I try to do that. He was more geared to taking care of the basics, and my mom was there to give the little extras, like those little side trips that your school always wanted you to go on, or projects, Dad didn't think that was important, but Mom always did. So I hope I instilled that in my daughter as well. How did that shape my life? Well, it has been some positives to that. I feel like I've been in a stable home for the last 38 years. I always say, I have 2 husbands. One is my employer and one is my real husband, Curtis Cameron. So I've been married to one for 38 years and I've been with the other for 40. So that's the stability in my life. And I think I hope that my parents were proud of what I accomplished, that I went through, got my degree from Eastern Michigan University, and that I was working in a field that I liked and I was helping people every day because that's me.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is you. And we'll get into some of the questions in particular shortly. But I agree that who you are is who you are everywhere. And I think that that's something that I've definitely learned from you. And I was actually just on a call this evening, and I was telling the people that, you know, I am real big on authenticity, and that you should be able to be who you are wherever you are. And I think I've learned that from you without you even probably having to say that. But you're Beverly everywhere. And I think that which, exhibits Christianity and just, being a good person. So I think that's awesome. So tell us about this daughter of yours.
Oh my goodness. How much time do we have? Oh my, I am just bursting with joy over here. I am just so proud of my daughter, who set her mind to doing this podcast earlier this year and did it on time. I'm just so proud. And I keep telling everybody, please listen to my daughter's podcast. This is great. I didn't even know about podcasts. She told me about it. But I am just so proud because she set her mind to it and said, I'm going to get this done before my birthday. And she did. So I am just proud that I hopefully instilled in her that if you make that decision, if you make that commitment to a work, that you will follow it through. And I have seen her do this not only with her education, I've seen her do it with her marriage to Henry. I've seen her do it with raising 2 sons, who has practice at that? No one. And so even though I have 5 grandsons, they are all very different. And I commend you for dealing with these little guys who are just, angels in my eyes, but something else at your house. I understand that. So she is just a go-getter. She is very personable. She is very professional. I always used to think, how are they going to take orders from this person if she doesn't have her 3-inch heels on? But I found that no matter where she landed, she was forceful. She got things done. People respected her. I've heard nothing but good things for every place that I've visited that she's worked. Just makes me so proud. Like, wow, she got it. Regardless of what anybody else thinks. This is a force to be reckoned with. And she comes across very compassionate with people, and she, tries to help them, and she goes by the book. What more could you ask for? But that's God in her life. And I know that. And I am happy to know that my daughter is not only my daughter, but my sister in Christ and my confidant. So that's who my daughter is.
Well, that was beautiful. Listen, I need to meet her. Like, who is this person you're talking about? No, so I appreciate that. And again, right, it doesn't fall far from the tree. I think that, I know that I have gained a lot of those attributes by, being associated with you and, growing up, seeing you in multiple areas, seeing you in multiple opportunities. I could say the same about you. You're definitely, a go-getter as well. So I appreciate that. And to your point, it definitely is by God's grace. It certainly is not Alicia. And, God has graced me specifically with the gifts that he's given me and placed me in places that I couldn't have put myself. And so I'm grateful for that. So, all right. So let's get to talking about you, not me. So this show is about purpose. And in designing the show, I really wanted to have intentional dialogue about people's journey and about purpose, really, and just what God has planted individuals here on earth to do. And also walk out my own purpose, which, hopefully is to encourage, uplift others to be their best self. So, as you reflect and think about your life, what would you say is your purpose? And sometimes people want that defined. It's what do you feel led to do on this earth?
And of course, I pondered over this all day. I still feel like, really, how do I put that into words? Because, my life is such a mixture of work and church. And what am I doing in both? And that's kind of what I was trying to think of. Okay, so what are you doing in both of those arenas of your life and your home that kind of blend and kind of send the same message? And I got to believe that's bringing out the best in the people I'm working with, whether it's in church or at work, to show them we all have a talent. We all have a reason for being. Mine seems to be more education. I think it goes back to the fact I always wanted to be a teacher. And so I have fulfilled that, just not in a classroom. I knew early on that I would not last in the public school system. So I went around that a different way. And so now I'm teaching in a medical-based system, but it's really trying to help people understand how truly your body is a vessel for God. And if you are not putting the appropriate things in it, you cannot do his work. So, just helping people to see how to make better choices, how to take better care of themselves, both, physically and spiritually for that matter. That's really what I think my purpose is in a nutshell.
And it should be simple, right? It shouldn't be something that's complicated. It shouldn't be something that we're not able to articulate, because again, it's what God has graced us to do, and it comes natural, and we're able to do it in so many different settings. And so I would agree that definitely is your purpose. I think that's what people would call on you for. I mean, let's be real. You have a lot of credentials and a lot of experience. I mean, I used to think my mom was famous because she was like on TV and everybody would talk about it. They would see her on cable, and growing up, it was just, amazing. So I still think that God has graced you in that space. And that's really extended to me, because I feel the same way. Like, my purpose is really to bring out the potential in people. And I do that in my career. I do that in spiritual space, do that, at home, with the podcast, and so many different areas. So I think that has definitely transcended, and I just do it in a different way.
Right.
And
exactly.
I think that's the beautiful thing. So good. So when would you say you discovered your knack for helping people and educating people? Do you think that was something as you grew up, you knew that, or did you get that in college or after college?
It started when I was a kid. I used to teach the smaller kids in the neighborhood. I was always a reader. I always liked to read. I was a Y teen. I know that doesn't make any sense to you, but that back when I was in high school, that was a connection to the YWCA.
Okay.
And so that was like a community group, doing community work. I went to college on the notion that I was going to be an occupational therapist, but that field was very crowded. And so when I look back at it now, there were 300 people trying to get into the program. I went into a program that only had 12. So you think about the odds of that. The odds were you're not going to get into the group for 12, but I did. And again, I changed course through the years. I thought I was going to be in food service. I didn't like clinical work, but I found my niche when I went into outpatient education, because even though I was working in a hospital, I didn't feel like I was fulfilling, what I was really meant to do. I'm only dealing with sick people, and then they're out the door. So I wasn't making a lasting impression, and I didn't feel I could see the benefit of what I was doing. So I always loved teaching, and I've always been doing some type of class work throughout my career. So whether it was cardiac rehab, whether it was new moms with new babies, or whether it was weight management. But of course, diabetes reared its ugly head in my family. And When I started doing outpatient work, that's what I was doing. And someone told me, why don't you get the credentials for this? You do it every day. Why don't you get paid for it? And it's needed in your community because you're African American. And who's being impacted by diabetes more than African Americans? So, and they want to talk to somebody that looks like them.
Right.
They want to talk to someone who understands the plight that they're going through with, getting medication, having the appropriate foods, and getting exercise, and knowing, that sometimes it's very difficult. And so I think, diabetes has now just been ingrained in me. I just live it, talk it every day, and I see the effects of it. And so just trying to steer people away from the complications is my everyday job. That's my everyday job. So, and, people tell me all the time, I can tell you like what you do. I can feel the passion in your voice. I can tell that this is not just a job for you. And it's not. Like I say, it's my ministry. And if I can have someone have that light bulb moment where they get it, like, okay, so that's what I gotta do, or that's what I gotta change, then I feel like I've done my job. And that's, so it's not about the paycheck, because trust me, there's some other jobs I should be doing that would pay much, much more than what I'm getting right now. But that's not why I do it. And so just, hopefully knowing that I've made a difference in some lives, for those women that were pregnant with diabetes, they had a healthy delivery, a healthy baby. Okay, right. Well, did I play a part in that with the education? Yes, I did. So it's been an interesting ride. I'll be a diabetes educator 20 years next year. So nice. It's just, I thought, who wants to do that same thing every day? But it's different every day because you meet a different person and they come with different issues. There's, every day I walk away saying, thank you, Jesus. Whatever little problem I left the house with this morning, thank you. I will keep it because what I encounter with patients and what they're dealing with is so much more. So if I can just make their life a little bit easier with helping them understand what changes need to be made or could be made to make them walk away from complications of diabetes, then I feel like I've done my work. I've completed my ministry. And if I can share that within the Church of Christ, I do that as well. So when I can be a speaker for them, when I can bring information to their congregation, then again, that's a part of my ministry. I'm just doing what I was called to do. If they understand it, that's even better.
Yeah. I love that. And you actually answered two of the questions that I had, but that's awesome because it's all, like I said, interconnected. Mm-hmm. But what I love about that, and again, this was something that I just talked about to some people, and it was find a career, not a job. And when you find that, you get out of bed differently when it comes to wanting to go to work because you're making a difference and you're impacting people's lives. And it's not just, of course, money comes with it. We thank God for our resources, and certainly we need to make a living. Yes. But if it becomes more than that, that's like the bare minimum, and it becomes more than that. And it's, to your point, you have a lasting impact on people, and there's nothing that can take that away, from people. So I think that's great. And for those that are, embarking on making a pivot because we're in a pandemic and, there are some choices that people have to make, or whether it's someone that's in a career and they're just looking to do something different, or you're in a job and you want a career. Either way it goes, I think it's taking that time to really reflect on what it is that will spark joy and will bring out the best in you, and something, again, that you can get up every morning. And you won't love everything about your job, but there's not everything is not going to be butterflies, cartwheels and fireworks every day. But you want it to be more pros than cons. So I think that's great that you were able to find your niche, and it just collided in a good way, or it it intertwines well with your purpose. And I think that's great, because sometimes your purpose, you may be driving your purpose not at work. It may be in, in something else, but it's awesome when your purpose can intertwine with what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis. Because at work, that's where we spend most of our time.
Exactly.
We spend more time at work than we do at home. So I think that's awesome. Yes. So I want to switch gears a little bit, because one of the things that I admire about both you and Dad, actually, is that you both, and this is not I feel like it's not in my spirit. So this is definitely this is something that I did not pick up. But you both have dabbled in entrepreneurship. And I think especially in these days and time, even before the pandemic, right? I think that has become an open door for so many people. I mean, the digital age has just changed so much as far as new opportunities, right? If you think about it, yes. YouTube content creators are millionaires. Kids on YouTube are millionaires. So life has changed, but as you all have dabbled in entrepreneurship over the years in different capacities, what have been your key lessons from that? And did that tie into your purpose, or was that just something you wanted to try? Kind of talk us through that phase. That phase of life. Although Dad's still in entrepreneurship, but
yeah, right. Well, I always had a creative side.
Yes.
I always, you can attest to that.
Yes.
Okay. So I dabbled in a basket and balloon business for a while with a partner to bring out that creativity. And it was just a hobby that we thought we could make some money with and have some fun, decorating for parties and sending gift baskets for different reasons, but that I have found it very difficult to price my creations the way I saw them priced, retail. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. And so that's why I knew this wasn't going to be long-term for me. And then my partner took ill and we had to stop our business for that reason. But because I was doing it to be creative, I just couldn't see how you could mark it up. Now, I know there are classes on how to do that, and I've seen them on YouTube and how to price what you're making. And I just thought to myself, this is probably not going to work for me. So I let that go. But I still am creative.
Yeah, sure.
So I've kind of gone away from doing decorating, and I've gone away from doing baskets. And now I do crocheting. And so that is how I get my peace. That is how I relax. I've done quite a few prayer shawls. And so while I'm making the shawl, I'm praying for the person that I'm making it for. If I don't know who the shawl is going to, I still pray over it, because that's the whole point of it. That when you give this to someone, it's going to bring comfort. And it brings comfort to me to create things. So I know that, here's a ball of yarn, but when I finish, it's going to be a scarf or a hat or, a head warmer. I'm making a baby blanket right now, So I know someone's going to receive it, and I know it's going to bring comfort and warmth, and that's important to me. And it doesn't matter, I give these things away. So every Christmas, there's a clinic for the uninsured or the underinsured, and they allow people to come in, take a shower, get their clothes clean, get some food. And so what I do is some of these things that I've crocheted during the year, I take to them. Okay. So it'll be scarves. It could be, head warmers or ear warmers, as they like to call them. And they just give them out as people come through. So, that's my giving back to the community. They don't know it came from me. It doesn't matter. It just matters that that's what God has given me. That's one of the gifts. So I'm using it to give back. And then it gives me comfort, because when I've had a hectic day and I've had some people cross my path, I'm like, really? I can come home and just get into that and zone out, as some people like to say. I'm not a television watcher. I can put on gospel music. I can put on jazz, and I can just crochet for 2-3 hours at a time. And then I have something to show for what I've done, and then I give it away. So even though my daughter is trying to encourage me as a retirement option to have a side hustle.
Yes. I'm like, you could sell it on Etsy. You can post pictures on Pinterest. Like, it's a thing.
I'm still in that learning curve. I haven't said no. I just gotta figure out how to make that work for me, because I just have a hard time putting a price on something, and you say it, and of course my husband says it. Well, you should charge for that. And that's just not in my spirit.
I think for
which
what
is
you're,
why I'm not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think what you're doing, obviously for the community, right? I mean, that certainly is giving back, and that's part of charity, and you wouldn't take that away. I think that's important. But outside of that, there definitely is an opportunity. Well, speaking of the person that's not an entrepreneur, but
right. Speaking as a person who's not.
But you're also frugal. So I think that you probably, when you look at certain people, how they market things, you're like, I would never pay that myself. So it's hard for you to like internalize charging something for things. I know.
But again, I'm doing it as a hobby versus I'm doing this because I got a bill that needs to be paid. Right. So there's a little bit of a difference in my emphasis. I don't even buy things. Of course, this as well. I don't buy anything at full price. So, I could be making a really big profit if I wanted to sell it. But I just never.
Which I miss that.
But I might one day.
I miss that lesson as well.
You miss it?
Because I'm very spontaneous and will just
no, that's your father.
If I want it, I'm getting it.
That's the impulsive side. That's your dad. But so you got a little bit from both of us.
But I think that the beauty, even in that hobby, is that it still ties back to, I want to leave a lasting impression on someone, right? Yeah. So it's still interwoven into what it is that you are gifted to do, graced to do. So, awesome. So we're in a pandemic. It has been, as people identify it, as 3 crises, I guess I should say. One is financial, one is health, and one is social unrest or social justice. So how have you had to pivot, do anything differently? I can think of one thing, but maybe I'll see what you share. But what have you had to do differently during this pandemic? And just in general, like, how are you feeling? Like, how has this thing impacted you in your life in general?
Well, as you know, I was taken out of the work cycle during the pandemic in Michigan when it first started. I was home on medical leave following a car accident. So God just removed me, which is a blessing, because my office shut down. Everyone was deployed out to other departments. So I don't really know where I would have been working. But by the time I got back to work, our office was back open again. So what has changed is now we do virtual visits, something that I had really been resistant, like a lot of people, for doing, because I don't like seeing myself on camera. But I have gotten used to it now, and it is amazing. It's, you get an inside look into where people are really coming from, versus when they come into my office and then I see them. So I think last month probably was a 50-50 month. 50% of my patients came in to see me and 50% were virtual. So it has changed that. Church has been different. We have been open because we're a small congregation in a very large building. We can do that. And so we have still been having service on Sunday, but we do Zoom for a Bible class. So that's different, and everybody isn't on board, but, if God gives me the breath and strength to be here, then I feel I should be in class or in service. So, I have still continued to go to church every Sunday. Work is different because I work in a doctor's office.
Yes.
There's sick people around me all the time. So it's just, as one of my brothers in Christ has said, be wise and be safe.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, I work in a setting where I'm in my own office and I'm isolated. But then if I'm going to see a patient, I'm in a conference room, which is large. So it's just amazing. That some people still want to come out. I would be the first one to say, could I have a virtual visit? But they don't. In terms of health, just staying healthy, eating well, drinking water, taking my NutriBurst every day. My hand is back 100. Well, I'd say 100%. Financial, God has been good. I haven't missed a beat. And but it has shown me what is really important.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you have money and nowhere to go spend it.
Right.
So and it's also shown me what's important and what I need to declutter some stuff before I start this new year. So that's what I'm taking some time off to do, is just clean out my office, because I hope to be doing virtual visits from home. So it has to look like an office. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Because even though I seem to be a very structured and organized person in what I do, you wouldn't always believe that when you see all my crafts. So, and as far as racial and social justice, I don't watch television, number one. I do listen to the news on the radio, so I'm not oblivious to what's going on around me. But I try not to let that get into my spirit to the point where I'm anxious and depressed and, just have a negative outlook on the world. But it does make me look back at, here I've been working in a position for 40 years, and I am the only African-American dietitian in the system that I work in. And I'm thinking, okay, so when I retire, who are you going to fill the position with? Will it be someone who looks like our customer?
Yeah.
Will you just bring in somebody to fill in the space? And just knowing that it's not that there aren't other people out there, but it's the system, And so, of course, now, even through my organizations, everybody's talking about, health equity and, making sure we use the correct language when we're speaking with people, and that we try to make sure that they have access to care, because everybody deserves that, So that's what I'm an advocate for, trying to make people, don't get discouraged. We're going to figure this out. There are programs, if we can just get the right paperwork done, or just get the right connection, we can get what you need. So just giving people hope, because so many people are bitter and frustrated because there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get the basic care that you need. And so just helping people do that. That's, again, where I see my focus. How can I make life a little bit easier for somebody else?
Awesome. I love that. And at the end of the day, being selfless is so important and will, I believe, allow us to have a longer life, obviously in God's will. But I feel like when we are not so self-centered and we focus on others, we actually get more joy.
Oh, yes. When you are blessed, you bless somebody else. And those blessings come back. And I've just seen it over and over and over. It's just like, it's not coming from the direction you think it's coming from, but your blessing is coming.
Yeah. Because
you've taken the gifts that God has given you and used them to help others. So, that maybe that's why I give things away. Instead of charging people for it, I just take it. It's all good. And that was the reason I made it. I didn't even know who I was making it for. I mean, just case in point, I was making fingerless gloves last year, crocheting them. Who would have guessed I would have needed one this year? I used my own talent for me, right? Because I needed something to cover up my cast with, and it was perfect. I was like, who would have thought? So you just never know. You just never know where your blessings are going to come from. And so I feel like whenever I have the opportunity, that's what I should be doing. And whether that is in time, whether that's in a financial way, whether that's just making a phone call, sending a card, that's how I get back.
Yeah, and I think you do it in so many different ways. Like, you're a baker, you're the person that has Christmas gifts for people, like that are nowhere on the list but pop up, and somehow you have a gift for them. I just don't understand. So, so yes, I would agree. You definitely have a giver. So, as we wrap up, what words of encouragement would you leave with our listeners as it relates to, them finding their purpose, finding their niche, finding their reason to exist on this earth? How would you encourage them to keep moving forward, especially when we're in chaos and an interesting time in life right now?
Well, again, if God is not the center of your life, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I'm just, that's the only way I can think of it. So, when people are running around and anxious and frustrated, I'm thinking, okay, so, why am I calm? Why am I okay? Because I have a different perspective. I believe whatever is going on is in God's will. And so if I'm in alignment with him, I'm in a good place. So, finding your purpose, there's books and tapes and everything on it. But like you said earlier, what do you do that just comes easy? You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to be paid for it. You just do it. You enjoy it. And so, sometimes we have to just look past what we do on a day-to-day basis and say, if I could just do whatever I wanted to do, what would it be? Where would I be working? How would I be giving back? I would hope that my legacy is, all the people that I've helped through the years. Like they say, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. So if I can make them feel like at this moment I'm speaking to you, you are the most important person, and I'm centered, I'm focused on how I can help you, then, if they can walk away with that, if somebody finally listened to me, then I feel like, okay, that's my purpose. I did what I was supposed to do. And at the end of the day, I can leave and feel like I made a difference in someone's life. And that's what I think everybody's purpose is, to help someone else. And, whether that's financial, whether that's in giving of time, whether that's just a kind word. I would say a hug, but we can't do that right now. So, an elbow bump, it's amazing how eye contact has become so important, because you can't see a person's facial expression. You can only see their eyes. And so it's just a different world. But just to know that there's a reason for you to be here, to know that you might have to step out of your comfort zone to find it. You never know when it's gonna show up. I can still remember the day they walked into my office and said, "Hey, would you like to take a position as an outpatient dietitian?" I said, "How fast can I pack?" Because every day I was coming to work praying to God to give me some direction, and because I didn't like what I was doing, but I had to do it because that was my source of income. But he gave me the breakthrough, and I've been having a ball ever since. But again, pray until your breakthrough comes. What can I say? So when you're looking for your purpose, just think about what comes easy to you, and work at that. And sometimes you have to create a position. You have to create something so you can live out your purpose. And I think that's why you see so much entrepreneurship right now. People are having to step out on faith and say, okay, this is what I always wanted to do. Now I'm going to do it. And, I'm coming to the end of my career. I don't necessarily want to start another job. But I know I'm not finished giving. So, there's some new avenues hopefully going to open up, and I'll be doing more virtual work. So I'm still giving, I'm still teaching, I'm still helping people, just in a different format. So I would encourage them to just keep looking, be encouraged. The Holy Spirit will tell you. All you gotta do is listen.
Awesome. I think that's it.
That's it.
I don't know what else to say. That was amazing. And now you all understand how I started the show and saying, you know, this was going to be amazing and that you would enjoy hearing from my mother. So thank you so much. I am privileged and honored to have you on the show and for people to hear more about you and for others to be encouraged to just step out on faith and to pray. I love that. Pray until something happens. Pray until your breakthrough happens. And so that's awesome. So we are going to wrap up this interview, but certainly continue to check out the Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with yours truly, Alicia Smith. And thank you again, Mom, for attending today or joining us today. And I am so enriched by the conversation. I learned some new things about you. So
hopefully were good things.
That's a great thing. Yeah. That's a great thing. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And I'm hoping that your listening audience also appreciates all that you're doing to encourage women with your podcast, because I think it's awesome. And like I said, before you started this, I really didn't know a lot about podcasts. So thank you for opening up that avenue, and just to share and encourage other women, you know, to follow, to find out what their purpose is and follow their dream and don't give up and recreate yourself if you need to.
That's right. I love it. All right. Love you. And thank you again for the audience for listening in, and we'll catch you next time. Well, everyone, I hope you were able to take copious notes and have at least one action you will take to propel your life forward in pursuing your purpose. Let's get it. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Now go conquer your day and don't let it conquer you. Until next time, peace and blessings.